Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and today this is the first time I have been back in quite a while. I took a hiatus from YouTube and from BookTube for a while. So first thing we're going to do is this video is going to post on January 1st, so even though it is not January 1st, let's pretend it's January 1st, so Happy New Year. Alright, there you go. So, next thing I want to do is I want to show off the gift that Alex from the Bookubus sent me. She was my Secret Santa, and it turned out that I was her Secret Santa. That kind of works out very well. Anyway, she sent me the best horror of the year. This is volume 14. And I'm going to get up real fast and let my cat out. He wants out. So give me 1 second. Alright? Your timing is great, buddy. Come on, man. There you go, dude. Alright. Sorry about that. I apologize for that. Anyway, that is the gift that Alex sent me. So thank you very much for this gift, Alex. I'm sure there's a lot of great stories in this. This is edited by Ellen Datlow, in case you didn't know, and this has got stories by Brian Evanson, Gemma Files, Christopher Golden, Karen Warren, Michael Marshall Smith, and many others. Alright, so there you go. That was from Alex. Thank you, Alex. Alright, so the purpose of this video, this is an original tag video that I've created. At least I hope it's an original tag video. It might be a variation on one, because this is the tag of First, and this is the horror edition of the tag of First. Alright, now I came up with the name of the tag of First, so I'm claiming it as an original tag. Alright, so there you go. Alright, so there are 12 questions on here, and I'm going to try to answer them as I go along. Some of them I might not be able to remember quite right, but anyway, I'm going to answer them as I go along, and then we'll get to the part about tagging people. Okay, so there you go. Alright, so the tag of First, Horror Edition. Question number 1. What was the first horror novel or short story that you read? Alright. Okay, so for me, the first horror novel that I ever read was Dracula. Alright, I got it as part of the Scholastic Book Service. Okay, it was also the first novel I ever read too, so there you go. Anyway, first short story, I don't know which short story it was, but it was probably a story from the collection Ghost, Ghouls, and Other Horrors by Bernard J. Herwood. So I was able to answer both of those on that one. Okay, number 2. What was the first horror movie that you watched? Oh man, the first horror movie that I probably watched would have been one of the Universal horror movies, like the old school Frankenstein or Dracula, because I used to watch Shock Theater and they showed Universal movies back in the day. So it probably would have been one of those. And another thing I'm going to say about this tag is usually I post the picture or the cover of the book or whatever, the cover of the movie or whatever on the screen. I'm not going to do that today, just for the simple fact that it's been a while since I've even made a video, and I'm just going to start off a little bit lazy. Alright, I'm going to start back a little bit lazy. Alright, so there you go. So yeah, number 2 would probably be one of the Universal horror movies. Probably The Wolfman. Knowing me, probably The Wolfman. Okay? Number 3, what was the first vampire novel or short story you read? That would be Dracula, because that was the very first horror novel I read, and you know what Dracula is about. So that was an easy one to answer. Number 4, what was the first ghost story you read, either novel or short story? Now, I didn't really start getting 100% into ghost stories until later on in life. In fact, more or less when I joined BookTube and thought, okay, well, I don't want to just keep reading the same type of book, but I'm going to consider The Shining as a sort of ghost story. because I think that would have been the first one that I actually read that featured some kind of ghost, and there are ghosts in the Overlook Hotel. In fact, they show up quite a bit. The woman in the room 237 in the movie, 217 in the book, the two little twin girls, you know, and all that. So I'm going to say The Shining. Okay? All right. Number 5, what was the first haunted house novel or short story you read? And I probably should have just combined 4 and 5 because I'm going to say The Shining once again. It was The Shining. Because that is definitely, it's not a haunted house, it's a haunted hotel, but, you know, apples, oranges, tomato, all that stuff. All right. So, yeah, that would be The Shining once again. Number 6. What was the first Stephen King novel or short story you read? That is very easy to answer. It was Christine. All right. And I believe I probably read Christine. I think I've read Christine about 5, maybe 6 times. It may actually be my favorite Stephen King book, although that's, again, you know, that's very debatable. But yeah, it was Christine. All right. Okay. All right, number 7. What was the first YA or young adult horror novel or short story that you read? That's very easy for me. It would be The Merciless by Danielle Vega. Is that her name, Danielle Vega? See, this is one of those times when I should have had the book right here beside me. I'm sitting there thinking, no, that was Suzanne Vega. No, that's the lady that sang Luca. You know, my name is Luca. You know, anyway, yeah, it was Danielle Vega, The Merciless. Now, I haven't read The Merciless 2 or 3. I like The Merciless, but I just didn't know if I don't know if I'm gonna continue with it. All right. So yeah, number 7. Number 8. What was the first horror-based TV series or TV movie that you watched? Now, TV movie or TV series would probably be something along, well, that's pretty easy, Shock Theater. It would be Shock Theater because, like I said, I used to watch that on Saturday morning or Sunday afternoon, or Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. They show all these old movies, you know, and I'm going to consider that a series. If you want to get technical and say actual series, it would probably be The Twilight Zone. And then I watched The Night Stalker. But I think the first actual one would be Shock Theater. And then again, technical, let's go with The Twilight Zone. All right. Let me see. TV movie. Wow, TV movie. That would be a hard one to answer. That would be a really hard one to answer. All right. So I'm not really sure about that. All right. Number 9. What was the first werewolf novel or short story that you read? I am pretty sure the very first werewolf novel that I read would have been The Howling by Gary Brandner. In fact, I read The Howling 2 and The Howling 3 as well. All right. And the movie is, to me, the best werewolf movie ever made. And has the best werewolf transformation of any movie I have ever seen. All right. But definitely the first werewolf novel would have been The Howling by Gary Brandner. All right. You know, and I feel kind of sorry for Gary because, you know, The Howling is based on his book, but there's nothing of his book except the werewolves in the movie. You know, the plot is completely different. Everything is different except pretty much for the werewolves and the community of Drago, or whatever you want to call it. All right. Number 10, what was the first folk horror novel or short story you read? Again, I'm going to have to go with the first short story. It was a short story, actually, and that would be Children of the Corn by Stephen King. That is definitely a folk horror short story. So yeah, for that one it would be Children of the Corn. First novel? Good question. I don't really know. So we're going to leave it at short story and Children of the Corn by Stephen King. All right. Number 11, what was the first horror graphic novel that you read? And for that one, I'm going to do it a little bit differently on this one. I'm going to just say, what was the first graphic novel? If you haven't read any horror graphic novels, just tell me your first graphic novel. All right. So for me, my first graphic novel would have been Batman, The Killing Joke. First horror graphic novel would probably, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to say From Hell by Alan Moore and Eddie Campbell. The Killing Joke was by Alan Moore and Brian Bolland. So I'm going to say From Hell, but I could be wrong about that. Okay? Alright, so number 12 is the final one. This is the one where I'm going to tell you, tag some people to do this tag. Okay? Now here is one little request I have for this. I want you to tag, if you tag, no matter whether you tag one person, two people, or three people, I want you to tag at least one person that you've never tagged before. Let's keep this a tag of first for real. Okay? So tag at least one person you've never tagged before. Alright? So that is it. That is the tag of first, the horror edition. Okay? Alright, so now I have been away from BookTube going on about a month now, maybe longer. I needed to recharge my batteries. I was getting to a point where I had no idea what I was going to do. I was getting frustrated. I was getting disillusioned even with some BookTube channels. I'm not naming any names. I've made my inner peace with that. All right. But yeah, I just had to get away for a little while. And now I'm back. But the thing about it is I don't really have any idea exactly what I'm going to do moving forward. So my videos may be a little sporadic. I may not be as regular with my videos. Please forgive me for that. But for all intents and purposes, I am back on BookTube. And one thing I have to say is I've been keeping an eye on my subscription numbers, and they haven't waned very much. I think the lowest they've gone to is 1341, and now last I checked they were at 1344 subscribers. So somebody's still watching my channel, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Anyway, that is the tag of first and a little update on what's been going on with me. Thank you guys for watching, and take care and stay scared. Bye-bye.